Yo! Welcome back to another edition of the Cruising Podcast. I'm your host, Andrew Cruz, and today is Sunday, July 23rd. And you know it's Sunday, so that means it's the Warrior Cast with the marvelous Michael Carrell. How are you doing today, Michael?
I'm great, man. I always love your adjectives for me. I appreciate it. It's a confidence booster, if I say so.
Man, try to brighten up the day, seeing that's the morning time. So, where you can find the Cruising Podcast is on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Patreon, YouTube, and anywhere else you can find your podcast needs. That's where you can find the Cruising Podcast. Also, where you can find latest updates of the show. It's on Instagram at Cruising Podcast, also on Twitter at Nicetown Finest. Hey, Michael, where can they find you?
They can find me on all your favorite podcast platforms because I host a podcast called Comic Cast. So wherever you get your podcast, you can download Comic Cast. It's myself and my co-host Jong Lee, and we talk all nerd things all day, every day. And then for social media wise, at producer Mike 975. That's it. That's all I got for name wise for me on social media platforms. So at producer Mike 975.
The luckiest person in the world to have to keep all his socials as one name. Some of us have like five of them. So, but what are y'all talking about on Comic Cast right now?
So we're still going through Secret Invasion. We're recording this was the Sunday, July 23rd. Our episode or issue 495 of Comic Cast comes out on Monday, July 24th. And we're talking Secret Invasion, episode 5. Find out why Jong and I may not be as high on the show as we initially were early on. And then it's funny because actually with the release of it being on July 24th, it's the 6-year anniversary of the podcast. Um, since we released issue 1 way back in 2017. So I had to think about that for a second. It's wild. So we spent a little bit of time, kind of diving into that. And yeah, it's wild to think that it's been 6 years since doing the podcast, and we're still rolling along and on the road to 500 issues of the podcast. It's wild, man. So, but yeah, we're talking Secret Invasion. We're talking just things in general of what's going on, and we made a joke that maybe some stuff it's maybe going to slow down because with the actors strike, with the writer strike, I don't know what's going to happen, but it may get a little dicey in terms of news. So, but we'll have to wait and see, obviously.
Mm-hmm. Dang, oh man, 6 years. It's been 6 years
6 years.
tomorrow. Hey, yeah,
Yeah, 6 years
congratulations.
tomorrow.
Hey,
Thanks, man.
y'all still love each other. That's beautiful.
Yeah, we don't hate each other. It's a happy marriage.
It's and also once again, Jong's bringing the cake. Just putting it out there. Jong, gotta bring the cake. Just so you know.
Jong, bring the cake, please.
and and also one more thing. Did you end up going to go see Barbie?
I did. I saw Barbie this past week at a press screening. Man, it's really good. It's
I've
really, really good. I
I've
really enjoyed
heard
it.
really good reviews about that movie. I'm sure you
It's
talk about it
really
on
good.
Comic Cast, but it's I needed to ask because like I've been hearing different reviews for it. I'm like, I've seen 10 out of 10 and things like that. I'm like, whoa, it's really that good?
It's really like I didn't expect to like it as much as I did. Well, like for one, I didn't know what to expect going into it. And what's funny is like most of the trailers aren't really only the first like 20 minutes of the movie. There's really you really don't see, I mean, you see glimpses of what happens in the later acts of the movie, but like it was really like a unknown commodity when I was going into it, and it blew me away in terms of just how fun it is, how smart it is. It tackles different aspects of society, but in a really interesting and engaging way, and really grapples with what Barbie represents for different people. Oh, it was a great, doll for young girls, but then did it become something else over the years? A form of like, what's the word? Um, like giving people undue expectations for what you should look like and things like
Oh,
that. They like that kind of thing. And it tackles both sides of that, but also tackles what Ken represents. And it's like, man, it's just it's a deep, it's funny. It's deep in a lot of ways, but it's very like very smart, well done. I guess is what I'm trying to say. It's just it's really good, and it's like I said, it's funny, man. It's real funny.
Michael, I think you just convinced me to go see Barbie. You convinced me before
I
Oppenheimer too.
Yeah, I know. Well, yeah, I know. That's funny because everyone was like, "Are you gonna see Oppenheimer, Barbie, blah blah blah?" And I was like, "Well, I got a press screening for Barbie, so it is in fact Barbie for me first, and then
Mhm.
Oppenheimer. I haven't seen Oppenheimer as of yet. Maybe like later today or next week or something like that. I can go catch it. But yeah, Barbie. Like I was telling people on social media and stuff, like if you had the double feature planned, the the half of that feature that features Barbie is you're not going to be disappointed. It's good.
That's surprising. That is very, very, very surprising. Now I have to go see Barbie. Thanks, Michael.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Well, because it's funny because like it could have gone in a lot of ways where it's like, oh, this is just an advertisement for a toy, or
Mm,
just a superficial, like I don't know, like some goofy premise or whatever. No, it's actually it's got a very good premise. Like it had my girlfriend like clapping at a certain monologue in regards to what women are expected to do and act and da 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 da. And like it had my girlfriend like not like clapping like standing ovation, but like
mm.
quietly in her seat, she was going, she was doing like that, like, yeah. And the acting's great. I mean, Ryan Gosling's freaking hilarious. Margot Robbie kills it. I mean, Kate McKinnon, Issa Rae. I mean, it's a great cast. Simu Liu, Kingsley Benadir. Like, it's a good, solid cast.
Was John Cena the mermaid Barbie or something like that?
Yeah, he was. It's funny.
You thi-
It and it's like it doesn't like when you say it, it doesn't make sense. But when you watch the movie, it makes a whole lot of sense why that is.
Wow. Okay, we're all right, guys. Guess we're seeing Barbie today.
Go see Barbie.
Well,
Wear your pink and go see Barbie.
oh, shit, man. Yeah, we're doing it. Okay, we're going to go see Barbie and then and cry. Hopefully not. But that's I completely forgot. I had something in my mind.
It's because
Well,
you got
okay,
Barbie on your mind.
I know, right? I'm sure they played the Aqua song like to death though, so it's like,
Well, they played that, oh, what's there's a version of it with, Nicki Minaj and Ice Spice that they played at
oh,
the end of
hmm
it. It's like a new remix or whatever. It's good too. It's really good.
oh man,
The
because I was thinking, I'm like, they had Transformers come out in June, and they have
Mhm.
Barbie coming out now, and then next month we have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles coming out, and
Yeah,
I'm thinking, and this is just was my thought, and then we could start with the Warrior, that they are making like a universe with like old school action figure slash dolls, and there's going to be like a combined universe, and I feel like
it
that would be
could
a fire movie.
that would be really cool. I would really like that. It's a new age Toy Story.
Yes. Right? Oh man.
Boom.
Hey man. Hey, let's stop the writer strike and let's write this.
I can
But
write. I can do it. I can't really do it. I was lying. I got caught up in the moment. I can't do
oh man.
it.
I was like, all right, cool. Michael could do all the work. Nah. All right. Well, with Warrior today, we're talking about episode 6, right? Yeah, season 3, episode 6 of Warrior.
Mhm.
It was a very, very interesting episode to say the least to me. From my point of view. Um, maybe I'm the only one that thinks this, but I think this was the filler episode for this season
Mm, mm. Why so? Why do you feel that way?
because it had all the filler episode like ingredients because
Mhm.
um normally, like when the first one had the first filler episode happened, they were transferring the body inside of an old west town, and they had to kind of like kill everybody inside that little
Oh
saloon.
yeah,
And
yeah.
then the season two's was he did the tournament with the girl that he was that was setting up the fights since on that inside the warehouse or something like that. And she
Hmm.
sent took him out to Mexico, I think, or somewhere close to Mexico, and try
Oh
to,
yeah.
fight to get the land back, and she dies, blah blah blah. And then this one, they go to practically an old west town where they're trying to get silver from the Germans, and they have to fight it out to pretty much survive leaving the town. That's what to me. And also, it didn't seem like only a few parts of the episodes seemed like they pushed the story forward. But overall, I think that it being a with it, me thinking it's a filler episode because of the old west feel, kind of
Hmm.
to this episode. What did you think? I just
I liked it. See, I felt it was more like it is a definitely like I don't want to call it a bottle episode, but it is kind of taking you away from Chinatown and San Francisco and everything because I don't think we get a check in there really.
mm-mm,
Um, I gotta look back at my notes, but it's like it's mainly following like Lee and Chow in there. Well, we did get it because of Strickland and his like Leary and the party and all that, and
mm-hmm,
Happy Jack and stuff. So we do get like a little bit of check-ins, but majority of the episode is far off from where we are typically. With them going east to this western like town that the Germans run, and then with Lee and Chow being shipped off to Georgia, it is definitely a different kind of episode. But for me, it worked in a lot of ways because it pushed like Chow and Lee. There's a over the course of this episode, their relationship changes.
mm-hmm,
There is, I think, a greater rapport and understanding with them by the end of this episode. And I think the thing that I've been saying about Assam and Young June each week, I keep saying like, oh, they're gonna put them on the track to like hate each other and all that. And
mm-hmm,
after last week, with Assam making the deal, I thought for sure it would be like Young June is just totally ticked off with him and can't like I thought the problems would progress, right?
mm-hmm.
Not so much in at the least at the beginning of this episode, but by the end of it, I think we really have sowed the seeds for them going at each other with what happens with Father June. So I think there's some really interesting progressions in some ways, because I do think it finally sets up the Young June versus Assam angle that I've been like predicting every week. Oh, they're gonna hate each other. Oh, they're gonna rivalry, and then it doesn't happen, and then you know, and then it sets up Lee and Chow to have a better understanding of each other. Um, w- we didn't really get much, I would say, with the Strickland Leary bit. I guess we do get a bit of growth there in terms of Leary understanding how to better engage with these rich people, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Strickland showing him the ropes, like his young Padawan, if you will, or something like that. Like he's really showcasing how you can still be just straight up mean and aggressive and all that without using your fists and without being just blunt with your language,
Mm-hmm.
and how information and different things can really mess with you. So I think there's some interesting progressions in this show that in this episode that really worked for me.
Yeah, I enjoyed this episode because it seemed
Mhm.
like we're seeing Larry kind of transform into that possible politician, because it looked like Strickland was kind of like helping him work a room. Like this is how you kind of
Yeah.
work a room. He like you watch him leave him out there for a little bit, and then he's like, let me teach you how to work this room. Like you don't have to use that type of language. You don't have to use your fist. This is how, and then like you said with the information, we see that he has a lot of information on people that I
Yeah, he
did
does.
not know. And I think that with the Young June and Assam angle, I think it's gonna with what happens with Father June. Um, if he dies or not, I think that's what's gonna be the biggest um the the biggest turn between the two. If he does survive this, now Father June can put that bug in his ear, like, hey man, well, we didn't have to go back. He made us, I mean, he practically made us go back and fight off like a bunch of Germans with guns. And then if he
Mhm.
dies, he's like, I mean, it's just gonna turn into you let my father die. So I gotta do something about this. And also now the town loves you. You have another town that now loves you because you went and did it, and now you look like a folk hero again
Yeah.
since the riot. So it's with him. It seems like he's still fighting that identity to where, do I want to be a thug? I could have been a thug and just went, got the silver and left, but at the same time, he wants to be a hero. And the that depiction, it just he's gonna definitely struggle with that identity. But I think first, what's gonna happen is him and Young June are definitely gonna get into some type of altercation, either next episode or the episode after. By the end of the season, there will be an altercation between those two. With the Mai Ling angle, it feels like she's gonna turn on them at some point. But like I was saying last week, I think those two are going to her and Assam are going to have to fight, are going to have to be together at some point. Like they're going to have to team up and have to fight off both tongs at some in some capacity. And you were right about the Chow and Lee having to work together to get out of the
Mhm.
look. Michael Carroll, the clairvoyant. I told you guys, man, it's just like what the this he's been right almost every week about something happening. So it's just, you know, did you write this, Michael? It's just, you can tell us.
Well, I didn't wanna say anything, but uncredited, but yeah, I kinda maybe know
Uh,
some things.
okay, okay. See, there we go. So now we got some inside information. You're welcome, guys. You better be listening closely. But with I wanted to start with the Strickland and Larry situation with their whole dinner party. We was also we were thinking that Catherine was going to be kind of like that double agent to get Franklin Thayer out of the managerial race, but it looks, I mean, mayor. They're trying to be mayor, right? Yeah, mayor of
Yeah,
San
mayor.
Francisco.
Yeah.
So it seems like it's going to be Strickland that's going to be the one that has information about Franklin Thayer, and to get him out of this race. It looks like he really wants to have Buckley become the mayor of San Francisco. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I agree. I think he really does, obviously, he really does, and it's funny in this episode just how much it Strickland was guiding Leary over the course of the party and, like, teaching him how to handle this. It's just I'm fascinated with what Strickland's, like, thing is. Like, again, like, there's just no way he's just doing this out of the kindness of his heart. There's gotta be an angle for him that really works for him in terms of why he wants Leary on his side, why he's teaching him the ways. Because it's not like it's like I'm gonna relate this to Star Wars. It's like the thing of the two, with the Sith. There's always the rule of two,
Hmm.
but usually the rule of two ends up where the younger one tries to overthrow the older one.
Hmm.
I think something like that would happen between these two because Leary, as much as he is learning, and I think he really is gaining in terms of knowledge of how to handle these different situations and how to become more than just the thug that beats up people. Like that's all well and good, but he's I don't know, like it's just there's no way Strickland's doing this out of the kindness of his heart or to have another person that could be a like obviously they have the same goals in mind right now.
Hmm.
But what happens when Leary's like, "No, I'm not doing that." Like, are you gonna I mean, I assume Strickland is super he's very much exuding like, "I know everything above everyone else." Like, he's always 2 steps ahead of everyone, I think he thinks. So
Mhm.
I don't think he worries about Leary in any way, but that could be a mistake because Leary, he's arguably very unpredictable in terms of what, like, his goals, but you still don't know what he'll do in a certain situation. Like, he could just flip out and beat up people or whatever the case. But also Leary is getting older, and we saw earlier this season where he fights the two young guys and one of them hits him in the chest, and it was like, oh, I can't keep doing this. I can't keep fighting like this. So he really does need to progress and learn how to work a room and learn
Mhm.
how to grow to be a better foil in terms of being a politician, being a guy that works the party and all that. So it's it's interesting what they're setting up with Leary and in terms of his growth, but it still leaves me questioning what Strickland's ultimate goal is here.
'Cause it seems like with Strickland, seems like with Larry, he found, like, not a toy to kinda play with, but it seems like how they were about to use Myling. It's if Myling never gets in that trouble, it seems like he's one of those guys like, "Hey, man, this is, a guy from a lower class, and he's talking like this." It seems like this is their toy or something. I can't really explain
Well,
what it is, like.
he did relate to him with the military service, so maybe there's something there in terms of relating to how Leary was a military man as well. Like, maybe there's something there,
Mhm.
but
Well,
I don't know.
it just it feels like he needs to try to get those votes too from the Irish with
Yeah.
Buckley, because he needs to get Buckley in the office because he can. I think he knows that he can control Buckley better than he could control Franklin. Like he can pretty much. It's funny because he's trying to use Buckley as Buckley will use somebody else in his position as a puppet. So it's like it definitely might come down to Buckley sees something coming, and he gets Larry on his side, and Larry has been working these rooms, and Larry has been building relationships. It feels like those relationships are going to come to a head, and he's going to use those against Strickland at the end of this. It's kind of weird because Strickland's. It seems like at the end of this season, possibly Strickland's going to get hit by like a whole lot of different people from different sides. Like you got my
Very
not my
well.
link, Nelly. You got Nelly on one side, maybe Buckley on another. Then you got Larry coming up from behind. It just seems like he's building all these negative relationships with people, and then it's just going to come to a head at the end.
Yeah, with him and Leary, I wonder if, because yeah, they are on the same side, but like Strickland makes that comment about the mayor candidate there, I think is his name.
Hmm.
And like Leary questions like, "Oh, why did you reveal that? You could have like used him, just holding that over his head or whatever."
Hmm.
And he says something where it's like, he's there is the definition of an honest man, and I have no use for an honest mayor. Like that would just told you everything you needed to know. So that's like, okay, he really wants Buckley to win.
Hmm.
Leary wants Buckley to win. Like, we're all on the same side right now in terms of who we want to win this election coming up. Leary obviously controls the Irish vote and will help with that.
Hmm.
Um, but you see there's an ultimate play with the mayor stuff. Like, it's not like he likes Buckley. It's a play. So that's why it's still in the back of my mind, like, there's got to be a play here with Leary that we just haven't seen yet. Maybe it's just more about the trains in terms of he wants people to help him build these train, railways,
Hmm.
and the railroads and all that. So maybe that's the angle that Strickland's going with. Um, I don't know. It's a very curious relationship between those two, because I fully expect a turn on your master kind of thing. Like, you're the Sith, you're the Darth Vader, or you're whoever, and you're gonna strike down the emperor. Like, I expect that to happen at some point.
Because there's scenes with in this episode alone that their scenes right here seem like really quick hitters. Like it will come in the
Mhm.
middle of like potential action coming after their scenes. And it seems like because we didn't see them last episode, so we were like, well, where have they been up to? Then the episode
Mhm.
before that, we only seen them for maybe 2 scenes, and it seems like they're like their storyline is like a plot C. Like we're like from this episode was like plot C, and then we plot B
Mhm.
was Chow and Lee being taken to Georgia. And then the next plot, and then the first plot, of course, is Assam and Young June
Mhm.
and Father June going to that German city, and it just feels like we get enough information about what's going on with them, but not too much to where it's going to leave you
Mhm.
guessing about each of their motivations, to tell the truth. I'm really curious to see how that plays out between those
Yeah,
two.
yeah, and I like that. I'm gonna do a kind of minor comparison to Secret Invasion. That's what I've been struggling with Secret Invasion in terms of there's not enough with the other plots to make me care.
Hmm.
But even in this episode, the C plot, Strickland and Leary, I was fully engaged because I'm curious where the growth for Leary goes, where what's Strickland's game. And yeah, there is just a few scenes with it in this episode, but again, it progresses in terms of showcasing you how ruthless Strickland is, how uncaring this man is, and how just in so many ways he's just a terrible, terrible person, but a person that's craving power and is teaching Leary how to go about getting this power and getting your way, playing the game. Like Leary's been playing checkers and it's worked for him. It's not that it hasn't. It's worked for him, but Strickland is teaching him chess and how to better be strategic about these things. And you can't just use your fist for everything. And he really showcased to him in this episode how your words and the information you have is power in and of itself. And he didn't like, it's funny because like Leary's like having those moments with those politicians and he says stuff and it's like Strickland's like, don't like bite the hand that feeds you. Like, be careful with that. But when it comes
Hmm.
to Thayer, you see Strickland just kind of take over the situation and he doesn't deliver a left hook, right punch, anything like that.
Hmm.
But he did it with his words. And that was like, I think it was like oh,
That
wow.
was,
Okay. You could do, like, it's not like that he hasn't seen that before, but it was just like in this setting, how he did it really was like showcasing I can whoop this dude with just my words. Watch this. And it just, he showcased it. And that's been great as a villain character because he's arguably the most villainous character in this season, I should say.
yeah, he's definitely been a very plot, because like I said, we haven't really seen too much of him, but when we
Mhm.
do see him, it's very menacing. It has been very conniving. You can just tell he's up to something. There's something he's up to. Maybe he wants to. It'd be weird if he wants to like become mayor and just take the railroads and put them. But I think he wants to be able to use the person from the shadows, just like I said,
Oh
from
yeah.
Buckley. So with him, I like him as a villain because everything he's doing right now is very thought out. The only one to me, the only part that wasn't truthfully thought out was when they went after them in Sonoma. He didn't think they were going to fight back. That was the
Yeah.
problem. He didn't think they were going to fight back.
Yeah.
That might have been like kind of a problem. That might have put some kind of a, I'm trying to think, divergence to his plan. So him with him, I like him as villain. Well, I guess he's villain A, and then Atwood should be, I guess, villain B.
Yeah.
And once we didn't see him this episode either. Just it was I like it. I like especially him and Larry, because Larry was kind of our antagonist for both seasons, and it seems like this guy just straight up took over
Yeah, it
that
does.
role. And
It it and with Strickland, it's very much Palpatine vibes. I'm gonna keep with the Star Wars comparisons.
mhm,
It very much Palpatine vibes, but I think there's the inherent, like, and you brought up with Sonoma. I think the inherent like maybe flaw with him is I think he underestimates people.
mhm,
And he over overestimates his power. And yes, he very powerful so far and very he's been winning so far. But what he did in Sonoma, and he doesn't realize the fury that he has unleashed with a toy and lie. They're going to be coming for him at some point. It's just a matter of time, in terms of when. And I could see Assam being involved in that too, but we'll have to wait and see. But he underestimates, and I wouldn't be shocked if he underestimates Leary,
Oh,
and Leary uses what Strickland's taught him to kind of get the upper hand. I could see that too. And then just last thing about this plot C before we move on,
mhm.
Leary in that suit, for one, he looks so uncomfortable.
Yes, yes.
And and it was funny because it's like the suit made him look like he had no neck. Like he was just like right here, just like, and it was like the Batman suit where he's just turning and have to, like, it looked like that. It looks so uncomfortable for him, but it was a visual representation of how he is in those types of situations. He cannot stand it, which was
Mm.
funny.
It looked like the suit was like too tight too. Like it was like
It
one of
really
those things
did.
where he's kind of like just standing straight, like stiff.
Yeah.
And then once he got that whiskey in him, he was like, "All right, all right, all right, I got the whiskey in me." He needed a drink. That's what it was. He needed a drink. Just like in most situations. Like I'm antisocial too, so like you give me a drink or two, all right, I can get a little loose. Now I'm a little loose. Now I can do a little things. But
I,
like before he got that whiskey, whatever the 18-year-old whiskey that was, he was like, shh. He said, "Yeah,
oh
fill
yeah.
it up to the top." The guy looked at him like, "Oh, yeah, we don't fill these up to the top."
That's not what we do here. Okay.
That's a sipping whiskey.
Right.
But yeah, he definitely looked very uncomfortable. I was going to comment on that too. He just looked so uncomfortable. But then, like I said, he got very comfortable once those drinks got into
He definitely did. He, again, no neck, just going around, and hey, but he's learning. He's learning the game. So
Oh yeah. Okay, so going on to plot B with the Lee and Chow train ride, first of all. Were you surprised that they were both on the same train?
I wondered. I was like, because I think we talked about it last week. I think I was like, at first I thought, okay, they're gonna have them both, and they're gonna probably have to work together. But I was like, oh, what if they take Chow somewhere else and Lee's by himself? And it was like, oh, maybe O'Hara like has to come get him or whatever.
Hmm.
Um, but it went with the first route, and so it was a little bit like okay, this is where we're going. Okay, they're gonna work together to figure out our way. I was a little, I don't know if I was surprised, but just kind of like unsure whether they would or not. But I'm glad they did, because I thought their back and forth in this episode was really strong. One of my highlights for the episode is Chow's uh speech about deals. I really enjoyed that speech that he gave in the train car to Lee about deals, and how it, I he's talking to him about, once you make that, like, it's about the deal and all. I love that scene so much.
Their conversation was very eye-opening because Lee had this perception of Chow, like, you only care about yourself. Like
Yeah.
you've only cared about yourself. That's why when you go home, that's why when you being missing right now, no one's missing you. And I have someone
Hmm.
missing me and things like that. And I'm just like, first of all, that was pretty mean from Lee. I didn't know Lee had that type of bite in him.
Hurtful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I like that they were able to and it seems like this episode until the end of the plot A part, it seems like this episode everybody is starting to, I mean, like the two people that were having like contentious relationships, it felt like they needed to sit there and have a conversation with each other. They just needed to have a conversation. They never really just sat down and talked, and they were kind
Yeah.
of forcefully having to sit down and talk to understand where each other is coming from. And once they figure that out, all right, I can work now. We can work together because I, I'm trying to remember. Did he steal the key from the person, or was that from the screw that he was unscrewing from the train car?
I think that was the nail or screw or whatever that he was working on. I think that's what he ended up using to get the shackles off.
Because I was sitting there watching, and I was like, that was like an unnecessary scene to show me. I was like, and then it kept kind of like, and then after that, you kind of have that focus because his hand is still doing it. When from like the far shots, I'm like, he's still working. Is he trying to get out? I don't know what's going on. Okay, okay, that's what he used it. Okay,
he's
Like, I
he's
was like,
plotting.
he's always plotting. But so with that, he they are going to Georgia, which 2 day train ride. Wow, it's the quickest train of all time. Um, and
Was it 2 days? Like, oh my god.
that's what what's her Abigail? I think Abigail was talking
Oh, does
to
she say?
Happy Jack.
Okay.
I think
Mhm.
she said that he's been missing for 2 days or something, and
Oh, yeah, that's right, yeah.
he they with that train ride, I wasn't expecting them to go to the cousins. I was expecting them maybe government workers or something. Maybe he would have got out that way. I was very surprised to see that that was his cousins that kind of like are collecting, trying to collect a bounty on him.
Yeah,
Really,
I
just
didn't
to kill him.
yeah, I didn't expect that either. I thought it would be like, the sheriff or cops or something like that. No, it was like, "Oh, it's your cousins and, it's the auntie that you hate," and it's like,
Mhm.
"Hey, get him out of here," like that was just oh, that was a ugly, ugly trio. I mean, even though the one he tries to reach the one, but obviously to no abide. But yeah, I was surprised by the cousins being involved, but I think it worked for like Lee's character in terms of like I see why. I don't blame him. Like these people are pretty terrible.
When that wagon wheel broke, I was like, yeah, why are you pointing the gun at them like they're the ones that broke their wagon wheel with their
Yeah.
minds?
What'd you do?
Why are you doing this? We're like, we're just sitting here, sir, and we're shackled.
What am I, a force user? I don't know. See, Star Wars still doing it.
There's a lot of Star Wars references going on this episode. And I'm liking it. They're just space samurai. That's all they are. So,
That's all.
but with that, seeing Chow with the whip marks on his back, and I think Lee got a glimpse of it, and like I think that ultimately maybe gave him maybe pity, not pity. Maybe more respect for what Chow has had to go through in his life because I just found out through a YouTube comment that he was in Cuba for 11 years as a slave. So that's why he has all those
Oh.
whip marks on his back. And Lee
Mm.
was kind of looking at him like, "Oh snap, you really been through some things. I can see why
Mhm.
you're kind of the way you are now."
Mhm.
And,
Yeah, I think he definitely gets empathy for Chow.
that's the word, empathy. Thank you.
You're welcome.
but, but Chow, now with Chow, as we, as in the train car, he was telling, as I mean, Lee was telling Chow that you only practically think about yourself. Did you think that Chow, well, overall, I knew Chow was probably going to circle back and save Lee, but did you think that like at some point maybe he wouldn't?
I mean, early on, definitely. Like if Chow had been able to get out of the train car like a lot sooner, I think he would have left Lee. Like 100% would have just left him.
Mm,
But I think both of them, whether it's the lashes on Chow's back or just seeing how Lee's family is towards him and saying what they are to him and all the different things, I think Chow better understands Lee by the end of that episode and why he would want to go back for him. I mean, and it could be just a self-preservation thing,
mhm,
and you could look at it from that angle until I think you look at it from that angle until Chow helps him bury Carter or whatever the cousin that he didn't want to kill.
mhm,
When he helps him bury him, and there's no word spoken, he just picks up a shovel and starts helping him. I think that inherently showed that was what I liked about this episode for them two because it showed I think there's a change with Chow and Lee and how they understand each other. Now, how they get back and what that looks like in San Francisco,
mhm,
I don't know because obviously they left things in an interesting spot with the plates and all that.
mhm,
But I think that this journey back to San Francisco, back to Chinatown and all that, I think will only help them grow in terms of understanding each other. But I liked the growth of that, and I thought it was very poignant to like show that Chow like just understands and is helping him dig the grave. I thought that was like a really like they've discovered empathy towards each other and understand each other a lot better. And I think there's an inherent respect now for sure if there wasn't one before.
So you didn't think it was just because Chow needed a horse? Because that made
It
me laugh.
it very well could have been. That's why it's like I think the self-preservation angle is definitely in play.
Mhm.
But
Because
with what we see and what we learn, I think it's more. I think it's more now.
and with because that seems like one of those jokes that Lee would have said.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I just needed a horse. But
Right.
I definitely enjoyed that plot right there, their storyline, because it was definitely an eye-opening experience for both. And it's nice to see like this is practically this is what society probably needs, is just sit down, maybe be forcefully sit down in a train and have a conversation to understand the other person's point of view. It seems like there's a message here between those two. Like if especially when they go back, it feels like, Americans in the San Francisco don't understand what the Chinese have to go through just to get to America. And it
Mhm.
feels like that should be a message throughout all of San Francisco. Like, you don't know what the other person's going through. And
Mhm.
you not sitting down and talking to them and already having this stereotype about them, and you hate them for whatever reason, for practically no reason. It can help forward our society in a very positive way, but it's just seems like that's not going to happen. We're about to have the tongs fight the police and things like that. So I'm excited to see where they go in San Francisco and how they get to San Francisco. I wonder how they're going to do that part of the story.
Yeah, I wonder if they're gonna kinda, like, speed through that and just have them maybe they'll be gone for this next episode because it's them traveling back to San Francisco. So
Hmm.
maybe let's see, episode 7, so episode 8, maybe they come back around,
Okay.
and maybe we focus more on San Francisco while they travel back. Maybe we get check-ins, I don't know. Um, but yeah, I could see them maybe taking a step back for this next episode while they travel back. Um, and then yeah, just to kind of piggyback off what you just said a minute ago. Yeah, it's a wild concept. Maybe just talk to people instead of hating them. Maybe I don't know. Maybe might be a good thing.
It might be. It might even help the Tongs, to tell the truth, because maybe
Hmm.
they'll just sit down and actually talk and actually, maybe work it out. Well, like in the beginning with my Ling, practically what she said was, your enemy is my enemy, so we are friends type deal. Like, we have to work together or we're dead. We're gonna die.
Hmm.
It's either adapt or die. And we have to fight against these people. And the one way we're going to have to do it is with counterfeit money. So we got to work together. And I think she kind of sees that big picture, seeing that she's been to jail because of what happened in the pond and everything like that. And I think that they're starting to see that picture of them having to work together. The problem is that Young June has it in his mind that everybody's out to get him, and
Hmm.
that's where possibly that that conflict comes to a head, and where it's going to be Assam versus that might turn into Assam versus Young June, because Assam's trying to save his sister, because they keep bringing up that she tried to have him killed. They keep bringing
Yeah.
that up, and it seems like that's going to come out for Wash, and he's going to have to help her in some way.
Well, and then with my Ling, it's funny because she does say that about, we have a common enemy and blah, blah, blah. But then she sows the seeds of doubt between Young June and Assam with saying something about, Assam getting too close to the printer and everything. And maybe that's her like looking out for their deal over everything.
Mhm.
But it's just like she's still playing a game here where she's trying to tear them apart in some way. So I think her angle is still like power in some way.
Mhm.
I have a hard time trusting her because I don't know that she learned. I'm wondering now. I don't know that she learned anything, um, it- because yeah, there is a great threat with obviously the pond and what those people can do, and they do need to be together. But her first thing is, of course, going at Assam, and I have a bad feel. Well, I shouldn't say that because I do think something happens with Lee Yong and the other elders with Mai Ling. I think his look that he gave in the last episode, I think
Mhm.
they've either come to some understanding or something's going to happen with Mai Ling, and maybe she doesn't have the power that she thinks she has.
I think she's about to get kicked out myself with this whole that deal
Mhm.
alone was like might have been the straw that broke the camel's back, to tell the truth.
Yeah,
With those
yeah.
and because he was barely in this was he I don't think he was with her when they were at the printer shop. I don't remember seeing him in episode here.
He went. Let's see. I'm trying to think. He was there, like he was there at like the ice factory, and then when they went to the printer shop, he's there briefly. He doesn't say anything or do anything because she gives him that like signal, like "Hey, leave us," and Young June gives that signal to like "Hey, leave us," and so Young June and her can talk.
And that talk that we were talking about when they were supposed to be in jail together, that talk
Hmm.
practically happened this episode where it's like that, like you said, to sowing the seeds of doubt for, he might be a little bit he might have not have his focus on the printer. I mean on the printing of
Hmm.
the money, but the printer's daughter. But
Yeah,
it's just yeah, she's just as conniving as Strickland in her
she's
way.
she's definitely like very much playing a game, and I think she's been winning at that, but with how she handled playing the game with the other elders of the Tong, I think they're over it. I
Mhm.
think they're over it. And while yeah, they haven't gotten the heat that the Hopway have, and yeah, they're winning in a lot of ways. She has done things that have frustrated them and making and deals without uh talking to them and just different things. She's really set it up to where they may vote Lee Young in power over her or kick her out just completely or whatever they do.
It's definitely leading to that. It's leading to that part, and I think it's leading to Assam being kicked um the Hopway again. Um, it's because
Yeah.
I they're not looking for a folk hero. They're looking for another thug. That's really what they're looking for, and he's not fitting that picture right now. And
Yeah, he's just not that person, right? Like
mhm,
he's just not that dude. He when he sees something another relating to now to Marvel. What does Captain America say? He's like, if I see something bad, I'm gonna go, try and stop it, like no
mhm.
matter what. Like that's a psalm. Like if I see something bad, I'm gonna stop it. And he was real close to fighting those dudes in the alleyway, but then when he sees the kid is dead, like it's just over. It's just over because yeah, I could walk away and just we're Hopway and we did what we came to do, but at the end of the day, he's fighting for his people.
Mhm.
And to see anything like that for his people, it's game over. He's gonna fight no matter what. And young June and Father June are like, fine, I guess we'll do this. But when that leads to Father June getting shot, that's bad. That's real bad with young June and and Assam's relationship, because if Father June dies, I don't know that young June forgives Assam.
Mm-mm. Not at all. I'm at that point. I think that he gets kicked out. Either he gets not just kicked out of the Hopway. He's probably going to have to fight his way out of the Hopway, and get kicked. Well, I'll say this: he might have to fight his way out of the Hopway, mostly because Young June knows that he's with the printer's daughter, and he might go after her like in a very
Mhm.
and violent way. But then again, that is your only printer that can do the money. So I guess like he said, you are valuable when he was talking to her. You know, you're a very valuable piece. That's why you're in the middle of all this trouble.
Right. Right.
so, so practically, you are the most protected person in Chinatown right now. But the way Young June thinks is it's unpredictable, and he doesn't think out his actions before he does them.
Mm-mm.
So the problem is that he would go after her without the thought of, oh, I need her. Like my Ling would think that, and I think Assam isn't thinking that way. He's thinking, well, she's making him money, then he should be fine. But Young June, he'll take it personally and try to kill her just because.
Do you think I wonder, do you think that maybe like Assam like tries to just like let's just go. Let's just go live a life together.
Mm,
And maybe that's where Young June and maybe even Mai Ling or whoever's like, no, that's not happening. We need her to print the money. Like she's not going anywhere. Like maybe do you think maybe that's where maybe some conflict comes about?
yeah, I think she's definitely gonna be in the middle of a conflict with the
Mhm.
Tongs for sure. I don't and I don't mean to be morbid about it, but I don't know if she survives this season. And
Ooh,
that's probably what makes Assam kind of like go probably flip that switch that we saw when he saw the kid dead. Like he might flip that switch where he's gonna go after everyone. And and that's what
yeah.
I'm thinking.
Man, I hope because I really like on me. I really like the dynamic that her and Assam have. So man, I hope she doesn't bite it because yeah, that would just Assam. I don't know what would happen with him in terms of yeah, he'd probably go at everybody. He doesn't care if you're
Mhm,
Hopway, Long Z, whoever the case. He's just ready to fight everybody. He'd be ready to fight the world. But then
mhm,
on that, I think that would be a even more scary Assam. I know I said that with poorly, but like that's a scarier Assam
mhm,
that I don't know that anyone wants to face because again, I relate it back to like season 1 and season 2 so much because I love what they did with the storytelling with Assam. And like you mentioned earlier, identity for him. He played a gangster the first season and he ended up losing to Lee Yong because he wasn't fighting for himself, he wasn't fighting for his people. When you see him fight for himself and his people, you saw what happens in season 2 with the riot and with him fighting Leary. Like he just whoops everybody. So
mhm.
I can only imagine if they take away Yon Mi, he's burning the world down. Like he's I because he's just a naturally empathetic person and he understands like she's just trying to take care of her dad and the brother and she's not a bad person she's trying to survive like everybody in Chinatown. Most everybody's just trying to survive
Mhm.
and I think he would just it would devastate him to no end if something happened to her and he would just whether he learned it was the Long Z or the Hopway or whoever screwed it up done
They got to go. They
done.
got to go.
People are getting tossed out windows, like, he's gonna, like, flying wall kick a bunch of people in the head, like, it's just gonna be brutal, but again, like, he's fighting for Yan Mi at that point, if
Mhm,
he's doing that, that's why it's like, I don't even like, even Lee Yong, I don't know that Lee Yong stops him at that point, because maybe it would be in terms of just out of pure fury and anger,
mhm.
because you do stupid stuff when you're out of anger. So maybe it would be something like that. But like that's an Assam I would not want to face.
Yeah, oh, for sure. And it seems like every season there's some type of tie-in to a Bruce Lee movie, and
Mm.
if I remember, well, that was his sister. Um, in Enter the Dragon, in the beginning of the movie, his sister gets killed. It seems like
Mm.
it'll be one of those type deals, and then turns into like Game of Death, where he has to go floor by floor, beating people like with like with the
Oh
tongs.
man. That would be
it, it,
cool.
with the first second season, I'm sorry, second season, we see the nunchucks. Of course, Bruce Lee introduced the nunchucks to Western society, and
Mhm.
I like the tie-ins that they do have with his movies. I wonder what like aspect of Bruce Lee's life are they going to, or Bruce Lee's movie life, of course, are they going to tie in with Assam this season? Because I don't think we've seen anything really yet, like from those terms. And I'm
Mhm.
wondering, like, because like I said, the second season, I think that was kind of the like the nunchucks, and then him fighting Leary was kind of him versus Chuck Norris. And what's that? Not Enter the Dragon. What
Yeah.
was the dragon? It was another dragon one. Um,
Ooh, I don't
ooh,
remember.
uh,
Ooh.
but like the Chuck Norris Coliseum scene where they fight in that hallway, it seems like
Mhm.
it's going to be something like that. But that's what I'm kind of excited to see those type of Easter eggs too, where like, yeah, man, that's from the Bruce Lee movie. Just I can't think of the name right now. But I think that he does go eight if she dies, but at the same time, I think what breaks him out of that is going to be something happening with a toy, and he's going to like it's going to split his focus to going to help a toy, especially if it's the Strickland situation.
Oh, yeah, definitely so, and I believe the movie is The Way of the Dragon.
Way of the I knew it was a dragon. I knew it was a dragon.
Yeah, I knew there was I knew it.
It's a dragon. It's yeah, Enter the Dragon. I forgot Way of the Dragon. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
Mhm,
yeah, I
mhm.
think I think that he's definitely I think something's gonna happen with the printer's daughter. Either she gets seriously injured or let's maybe hoping that part, and he has to go off like that because of the Father June situation. And also before I continue on, with the Father June and Assam conversation that they had. He said, it's not a secret I never liked you. But
Yeah.
he said, but I got to understand you. And it seems
Mhm,
like this was the theme of this episode. Like, I like how all these episodes have like a overarching message. With this one is like
mhm,
people actually sitting down and understanding each other, and that's what
mhm.
I liked about their conversation in the beginning of the episode.
Mhm. Yeah, and it was a definitely a needed. I honestly kind of wished it went a little bit longer, but
Hmm.
I think he definitely understands where Assam's coming from and why he was doing the things that he was doing, and I think there's an inherent respect for him now more so than when he had it initially. Um, I like that dynamic. That's why I hope Father June doesn't die because I would like to see that dynamic played out a little bit longer and a little bit more with the 3 of them, honestly. I think it's an interesting advisor to have in the midst of young June and Assam's kind of beefing back and forth. Maybe not beefing, but, like, yeah, they've kind of butted heads during the course of this season, and I'm curious to see that angle with Father June continue to play out. So I hope he doesn't die. I hope he survives this next episode.
Because I wonder how far they are from San Francisco from where they are. They never said what city they were at, and
Mhm.
it's just it did show a different side of Father June too, where like the guy was talking about the dog, him killing his dog. He shows the scar. He's like the dog got deserved it or
Yeah,
something like that.
dog had it coming or
Had it.
whatever he said, yeah.
He was like,
Mhm.
I thought it was gonna be a problem. He's like, ah, no, the dog was he was a monster, or a
Yeah,
demon, or something like that.
oh, that was a demon dog, Cecil or whatever, yeah.
I thought that was hilarious. They were all scared and everything. It was just there was some comedy aspects to this episode for sure, and I thought it was kind of once again this is why I thought it was kind of a filler episode is because they never checked back in with a toy, probably because they're training or whatever. They really didn't
Mhm.
check back in with Nelly. We haven't seen Nelly, and we haven't really seen Nelly in maybe like 2 episodes now. And then Mosley, what happened with Mosley? We still don't have any clarification what happened to him.
Mhm.
And what's the O'Hara? We still don't know
Mhm.
if O'Hara took that job or not. I just that's what I liked about. I like these episodes because they stick to one plot. I mean, well, with certain plots. the whole entire episode, and let that story build out. Now that's what I really like about this show, other than Secret Invasion.
And they what they did with this episode, and I feel like they've done it with the last 2 seasons. They have like a Western episode, and this
Hmm.
was definitely this was your like Western movie-esque episode this time around, with the train car ride to them fighting on the with the wagon and all that, to Assam and young June and Father June going at the town, and they're in on the balcony shooting, and Father June's clipping them from far off, and they're falling like it's funny, like I forget what Father June like clips somebody, and I rewinded it because I was like, was that what I heard? And it was a Wilhelm scream. So it was like it very much played into the Western, classic Western movie angles. Also, I love that he's using a shotgun like a rifle, and it was just nailing people. Like, hey, and he says it's a shotgun. What do you need to know? Do you just point and shoot? I was like, yeah, I get it. You probably should be a little bit closer, but I'm just saying, whatever, it's fine. I will forgive it. I will, because I love this show so much. I'll forgive it. Uh, but it was definitely like it was a fun like shootout moment, and then like the woman that the mom of the kid that got killed getting hers with
Yeah.
the pickaxe on the dude, like oh man, and then a psalm whooping those dudes in the church,
And
and the main dude ends up like on the
on the cross,
oh on the
he
cross, like yeah, ugh.
suplexed them onto a cross.
Whew,
Ugh,
man,
I think that
man,
was one of the more like gnarly kills this whole entire show. That had to be one of the more like whoa, like it caught me off guard. I was like, he literally suplexed him on top after he said there's no God. He suplexes him onto a cross.
yeah. Oh, there is. Oh, there is.
Oh,
Yeah, and the brief moment of Assam just kind of looking at him, and the I forget his name, the German, but the German looking at him like it was like oh, I messed up. I really messed up on this, because I think Assam mentioned it. I think it was Assam that mentions it, but when they're beating the kid in the alleyway, they made it sound like they were doing it like they were beating the kid in like kind of public, like on purpose to see
mhm.
what they would do. That's how I read it, I think. And it was like, huh, were they really like testing him? They're testing them?
Because it seemed like when, like you said, they were kind of like testing them to see what would happen. That's why the dude probably like came in a little late because he didn't want to see any action happen this time, and he was like, "All right,
Mhm,
that one right there, that one's the one that we need to look out for." And then
mhm,
when they were leaving the town, that's when that comment came up like, "Oh, this is a test. This is they're going to see if we just leave and not say
mhm,
anything or go back." Like this was our test. Like they wanted us to see that kid on the pole. They want us to see
mhm,
thief on the pole and things like that. And I'm like,
mhm.
yeah, that would I think they passed that test. I'm pretty sure they passed it.
Yeah, they passed it, and then Assam went back, and he wiped the teachers out.
Oh
He
my
like he just
goodness.
brutalized them, because yeah, because Assam, again, Assam seeing anybody in trouble,
He
he's gonna be the hero, like he's gonna do it, and it's not.
mhm.
And I don't want to say it like he's wanting to be the hero, like he's not doing it for the glory of it. He's like, this is wrong. I'm not going to put up with this. And the Germans were testing them to see if we can do business with the hop way, and that we can just exchange, get the money and all of this and that. Assam's not that dude. Assam is not that type of dude. He's not. I mean, he's not full Hopway at this point. He's fully like, I'm for my people, and I don't want to see my people suffer. If I see them suffering, I'm going to make the people that are making them suffer pay. And he basically, I mean, they basically liberated the town. It seems like, because it seems like there's no more Germans there.
No, there were no more.
Yeah,
Especially when Father June was sniping them with the shotty. It
yeah,
was
yeah.
He said, "All you it's a shotgun. All you have to do is point and pull the
And he
trigger."
just, yeah. How'd you, yeah, what was it? It's like, how'd you learn to do that? It's a shotgun. All you gotta do is point and pull the trigger. You're fine. Yeah. Oh, and oh,
oh,
go ahead.
no, no, go ahead, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, yeah, and young June with the knife throw coming in clutch with the it's and then the dude, man.
that that whole fight scene was amazing. It was nice, like seeing him and Father June fighting together too again. Where like,
Hmm.
did he takes the guy's legs out, then also you just see young June coming with the knife and stabbing him as he was in the air. It was just the whole like we say this every week, but like the action sequences that happen on this show is just to perfection. Like, or
Hmm.
there's something surprising happens, like, someone getting power bombed through a cross, or Father June
Something like
shooting
that.
somebody getting shot off the roof with a shotgun.
Mhm. Mhm. And it was definitely shot like I think I mentioned it. It's definitely shot in a Western way. So it's
Mm,
like a definitely like a classic shootout, but like two of your three heroes do not have guns. Like one has a knife or two
mm.
knives. The other one's just using his fists. Like he just does not like to use weapons outside of like nunchucks or whatever. So he like is just eviscerating these dudes. And then I guess Assam does get a knife at some point because he starts slashing them. Like he takes the knife from one of the guys and just
Oh,
proceeds to beat them down so hard. So like it, but it was done. It was fun because it was done in a Western style. Like they're running out, they're hiding behind the barrels, hiding behind the crates, and no luck. You're still getting whooped.
my guy Father June was hiding behind a statue.
Yeah, I didn't think that was the best cover, and it turns out it
Yeah, it
wasn't the
was.
best cover.
I was sitting there. I was like, he's hiding behind this. You're definitely gonna get shot at least once.
Because it was like they were like surrounded too. It was like it wasn't like they were just all at one end. It felt like they were definitely surrounded by the Germans, and they made it out, kinda.
Yeah, kind of. Possibly. It's a big
Yeah,
possibility. One of them did not.
yeah.
Um,
Ooh.
so where do you think now? Well, we've been kind of like passively talking about it, but where do you think so do you think their relationship kind of deteriorates, even no matter what, even if Father June survives? Is like, yo man, you just want to be the hero all the time. Like, it seems like young June would have like this jealousy towards Assam because of how the others look at him, and how other people look at him, even probably people from the Hop Way. Well, if they go back and tell this story, it could go Assam's way. Because they had no reason to go. They really didn't have a reason to go out there
Mhm.
to go get silver. Just because you don't trust my link.
Yeah, well, and it's do you put the tong where do you put the tong at Assam? You know, like that. I think that's the question. And because if he was like if he put the tong above everything else, he could have just left on that wagon, and he didn't. He put the people, his people first, and I think that's obviously respectable. But for the Hop Way, they're in a world of hurt right now, so it's probably a tough pill for them to swallow in terms of like, I mean, yeah, but like we're struggling right now. We really needed this deal to come through, and you messed it up. So it could go either way, honestly.
Hmm.
But like with young June, it all depends on what happens with Father June. If he survives, I think there's a chance to repair the relationship. If he dies by the end of the next episode, I don't know that they are able to repair it because like young June just got his father back, right?
Oh
And
yeah.
they had these conversations and they've grown close over these last couple of episodes, a lot closer than I think they were previously. And
Hmm.
so he cares and he doesn't want Father June to obviously he doesn't want his dad to die. And all they had to do was leave, and Assam couldn't do that, and it was Assam that it's Assam basically got the dad shot. Like that at the
Hmm.
end of the day, that's basically what happened. Whether his reasons were good or not, I think young June does not care. It's you got my dad shot. If we had just left, we would have been fine. But you
Mhm.
had to go do something. And he always because they always talk about Assam like you always got to do this. You always got to be maybe the hero. Maybe that's thrown into his face. Um, but it could be some irreparable damage done if Father June dies. That's the whole key. They showed a brief 30-second preview of the next episode at the
Mm,
end of the credits, and it does look like they get him back to San Francisco. They like get him back to a healer,
mhm.
but
It's touch and go.
it could be touch and go. I like that. There's a brief moment where you see like, oh, they make it back, but is he going to make it? Is he not? Like, I mean, that's going to be a huge thing for the whether Young June and Assam truly clash
Flash.
and butt heads, and we'll see where the relationship goes. But it all hinges on Father June.
So I'm sure they're going to get into an argument outside of like wherever he is, like the hospital or wherever. They're going to get into
Mhm.
an argument about, man, we shouldn't have went back or this that
Yeah.
things like that. And then I'm just me guessing that either young June has a full conversation with Father June about Assam, or Assam has a conversation with Father. It's going to be either or. Have like a
Hmm.
real heart to heart with him, like on possibly his deathbed, and
Hmm.
I wonder that well that may also turn the tide between those two um coming the next episode, and it just I'm it's just this show just leaves you just guessing, and I love it. I love that I have to guess what's going to happen next. Most of the time when Michael guesses though, it happens. So I'm just here for the ride.
I don't. We'll see. I don't know. We'll see. I'd be curious. Like if Father June and Assam have have a conversation, does like young June hold that over Assam and be like, my dad, you were the last one my dad talked to. I wasn't even the last one my dad talked to, or something like that. Like if it went in that angle,
Mhm,
maybe there is even more problems. But maybe Father June makes Assam promise to watch out for young June in some ways.
mhm.
It could go. I mean, there's a lot of ways it could go. Um, I'm very curious to see what they do. I hope they don't kill off Father June just because I forgot how good he was. It's been a
Yeah.
long time since we've seen him. And
Mhm,
again, to introduce him into this group, I think it's an interesting place to have him. And I really would like to see him some more work out, whether it's the deals with Myling and the Long Z or just different things. I would like to see more of the trio of Assam, Young June, and Father June. Um, I hope it's not just 2 episodes. I don't know, but we'll see. I mean, it would again, if Father June dies, it would cause a rift between young June and Assam
oh
that
yeah.
I don't know that there's any coming back from. So, I mean, it could set us up for some really dramatic things, and it could lead us to what you were saying earlier in terms of maybe Myling and Assam are kicked out of their respective tongs.
Mhm. Because with Father June and Assam, he didn't like him as a person, but I think he
Mhm.
respects him as a war, because he wouldn't have had him fight, you know, Yi Young, I mean Lee Young, if
Leong,
he
yeah.
didn't respect him as a warrior, as a
Mhm.
fighter. I think that's where that difference of his feelings for Assam is. And I think after he finally got to know who Assam was, now it's pushed to, I respect you as a fighter, but I also now understand you as a person. And that's where I think maybe they'll have a conversation, like you said. Hey man, I need you to watch over my son if something happens to me. Like
Right.
it's you're the only one. You're the only one I could trust that can protect him physically and possibly mentally. You're the only one that can
Mhm.
protect him. And
Mhm.
I don't think young June's gonna be a fan of that.
Yeah, I don't know. Like young June is so
Yeah.
volatile,
Hmm.
you just don't know. So he could go in a lot of ways, and he could lash out right then and there at a Assam with his knives. I mean, it could go. in a lot of ways, and it a lot of them could end up bad for the both of them. And if they like, let's say Young June does snap and go at Assam, maybe that is where it leads to Assam and Yan Mi just maybe trying to get away
Mhm.
in some form or fashion. Um, but who knows? Because like Father June, like he said in one of the previous episodes, he thought he would get away and have this great life, and then people showed up, destroyed the town, and he ends up back at the deportation facility. So who knows?
And and lastly on those on them, it's young June had a very well, back in the town, young June had a very interesting interaction with a person. Uh
Yeah, he
sh-
yeah,
he, he was definitely not in control, but in control all at the same. I, I
he
think that was
was yeah, he was definitely the what's the word? He was a very tiny man in a situation.
when they said that when she was when she asked like, "Am I going with all three of you?" They was pointed at him. He
No,
was-
him.
they said the tiny one. She was like,
Yeah, right. I was like, "Oh," and then yeah, she did some things.
he said, "I think I'm gonna die." And Father Jew was like, "It's the best way to die."
Yeah, right.
He said, "You gonna die with him?" He was like, "Nah, just him."
Yeah, it was funny when he's just sat back down at the table, just
I
like he
can't
was
move
just
my body.
yeah, he was just like, man, my life has changed. Like he was like, it was just different for him.
That was a whole different exchange for that guy. That was a very interesting 2 minutes.
That was very interesting. That was very interesting.
But is there any other like any other future things that you're looking forward to with this season?
Um, I'm obviously the big thing for me is specifically with this next episode is Father June. Like that's the thing I'm looking at most. The other thing we briefly mentioned it earlier, but I don't think Agent Mosley's dead, right?
Hmm.
So where is he in this situation? Um, with him and Lee, previously I was like, oh, maybe he wants Lee to be his full-time partner. Um, but we did see a side of Mosley where he was just going at the printer and the shop and like just being like a terrible person.
Hmm.
So I wonder with now Lee and Chow coming to an understanding, maybe there's a conflict between those two and Mosley because again, I don't think Mosley's dead. If
Hmm.
he was dead, we would have seen, his body or
Yeah.
something like that. Uh, I imagine he's okay. Maybe he's injured or something like that. But um, I'm curious to see with Lee and Chow, are they on the same side now? And do they defend each other or how's that going to work?
I think he goes after Happy Jack for sure. He's definitely going to whenever he gets if he's not healthy or anything like that. Once he gets healthy enough that he's going to go after like now his eyes are going to be on Happy Jack because first of all you got me shot. Secondly,
Yeah.
you kidnapped my number two for for $500, which is a lot of money in that time. But you went and you kidnapped him. I gotta come after you now. Now I have the full might of the government going after your little operation here in San Francisco, which that there's some enemies you did not want in that town. That's definitely maybe the top one you did not want to have problems with was with Agent Mosley because he works directly under the president. So I
Yeah.
it was definitely not a good move. Like especially if you didn't kill him, you you kind of set yourself up to like it's not going to be Lee that gets you. It's going to be Mosley that gets you.
Yeah, and maybe it's the triumvirate of those three go at Happy Jack, but
Mhm.
also Happy Jack knows about the counterfeiting and everything, so maybe he uses that as leverage in terms of Mosley. But I could see him giving the information and then Mosley just shooting him or something like that. I mean, that
Mhm.
could also happen. Could easily happen. Um, but I wonder where Happy Jack is in trouble with the fury of Mosley and the fury of Lee and even
And
the fury of Chow. Like I think all three of them are coming back at Happy Jack in some way.
oh yeah, for sure. I definitely see him not lasting the end of this season. Him and his him and his operation that's happening right now is
Yeah,
not going to last.
yeah.
What he did wasn't going to make him last. So
No, no.
and and then I guess if I wanted to skip over to a toy and lie, I'm guessing they're training right now or trying to like just really repair themselves.
I think with the toy, it's recuperating and lie. It's just training for her and like I think both of them understand like if they do go on that mission to go at Strickland and his goons, it could be a one-way trip type mission,
Hmm.
because he's got a ton. Um, you know, I don't know where it's going to be tough if they do, but I imagine it's either more recuperating and training for them because if they do go at Strickland, I could see that being an episode 9 or 10 thing that happens.
Because that's definitely they definitely need that round two between her and that big dude with the bullwhip.
Yeah, they definitely set that up, right? Like they definitely set up a round two with their exchange looks at each other and everything. Like they're gonna have a rematch at some point this season, and it's up to we'll see with Lie and a toy where they go, but I man, it could be a one way mission for them.
Oh, for sure. That is for sure. All right.
Yeah.
And I got. Do you have anything else from this
Um.
episode or any future episodes?
Well, from this episode, I was trying to think. I think we covered most. Oh, I did want to mention Hong, briefly. He's briefly in this episode, but he basically is like, I want to, that sounds like my kind of party. And Young Jun's like, you're not coming. He's like, what? Why not? And someone has to run this place. And he's like, oh, and he was all for it. It was funny. It was very brief,
Uh.
but it was funny. Like I always love Hong
Oh yeah.
any scene that he's in. I love their dynamic between the two of them.
The
And then
street.
we did briefly see Happy Jack talking to Abigail a little bit.
Mhm.
Um, Obviously she knows Happy Jack did something to Lee. Doesn't know fully, so we'll see where that leads her. But yeah, I think that covers most everything I had for this episode.
Oh.
Um, Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was about to say. Speaking of her, do you
Mhm.
think that Chow kind of like planted a seed in Lee's brain? I mean, planted a seed in Lee, saying that maybe she already knew about the bounty by any chance?
Maybe, but I think Lee's just an inherently good person and doesn't buy that. I
Oh.
think he knows Abigail, and I think he knows she wouldn't do that. I think it's Happy Jack. I think he'll buy that Happy Jack found out some way.
Mhm.
Because when they reunite, it'll be very emotional. I'm sure.
Oh yeah.
But that was definitely a Chow lashing out at him, and I mean, I guess it could, but I think Lee just inherently because he is a good person and
Mhm.
because he looks for the best in people, even with like his cousin that he tried to talk off the ledge kind of thing. Lee, see, that's the type of dude Lee is. He will, no matter what, even if you've done bad things, like he's gonna try and pull you back in some way. So I could see Lee, um, you know, not really believing that and just going with Abigail, but Happy Jack, be careful.
Yes, very much so. You got 3 people coming after you now,
Yep.
and the might of the United States.
Yeah.
Lastly for me, if you are part of the Lee family, and you're a male participant in that family, um, Lee's gonna kill you. You're dead. Just
I mean, at this
don't worry
point, yeah.
about it.
Yeah.
He's killed all of them. And
That's
what's
true.
weird is that Chow killed the mother. Like that's the only person Chow killed. But if you're a male figure in the Lee family, don't come at two. Don't come at him two at a time because he's going to kill two of you at a time. That's there is a number.
Oh,
There's two at a
yeah.
time.
Literally. Yeah. Yeah. When Chow, like, I thought he was just going to knock her out. But when he went in for that second or third blow or whatever, it was like, oh, he just, yeah, he straight up got her.
It's,
Like, ugh.
it's it's either get got or got.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what happened with him.
Yeah. Pretty much. Woo, man.
That was brutal. That was
Mm-hmm.
brutal.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All right. So did you have anything else?
No, I don't think so. I just imagine I think with the next episode, we figure out in the not this last episode, but the episode 5, I guess it
Mhm,
was the episode where like Lee Yong and Mai Ling said that about getting married and all that. But when
mhm,
they hug, Lee Yong has that look on his face. And I think in this episode, we see why he had that look on his face, and we figure out like, is Mylene kicked out? Is it something else? Or, what? I think we get a check in on that in terms of, or maybe not check in, but just figuring out why he was kind of like, yeah, married. Like, he's excited for it, but like, oh, you're gonna be so mad at the next meeting or something
like,
like that. Like,
like,
I think we figure out that, and then obviously with the Father June angle, I think we figured that out as well. Um, Lee and Chow, I could see us not seeing them in this episode.
mhm.
Even Mosley, maybe we don't see Mosley for one more episode, because I could see that being a thing where the show is like trying to make you forget about Mosley, and then him
Mhm.
popping up in episode 8 or 9 or something, be like, oh yeah, I forgot about him. You know,
Forgot he got shot.
I forgot he got shot. So yeah, maybe it's something along those lines. And then Leary and Strickland, I could see that going either way, like where we get a brief check-in with them, or
Mhm.
them going on the back burner as we get a check-in with like a Toy and Lie, or a check-in with Buckley and is it Catherine? I think it's
Yep.
Catherine. So getting a check-in with those groups, like I could see some of these storylines that we saw get put on the back burner for an episode while we figure out some other things. And then yeah, like you mentioned earlier, Bill, like figuring out
Oh,
if Bill
Bill,
took the
yeah.
job and where does that take him next? Because like right now, if he takes that job, he's out of things, right? So who pulls him back in? Is it Lee? Is it, Mosley? Is it, who pulls O'Hara back into the fold? Because like Atwood, that man's not surviving the season. I don't think he's
No,
surviving.
absolutely not.
There's something gonna. He's too off the rails to just let ride. I wonder. Hear me out. I wonder if Atwood goes at O'Hara in some way, and maybe Bill is the one that does something to Atwood.
Ooh,
That'd be
that could
interesting.
be that could definitely work. That could definitely happen.
That
That there's a
that
chance.
could that there. That's like that's probably like a Hail Mary type thing, but
Mm,
I don't think Bill's just going off working for Horace, I think was the guy's name.
yeah.
I don't see him just going off and doing whatever job that Horace has without him getting back involved in some way.
Um, and to me, that I think we also get a check in with Nelly, see what she's planning, maybe have see what her plans is. But I think that I think in the next episode is definitely gonna be heavily on Father June and the fate of Father June. And just that's gonna definitely be the overlining story throughout that whole episode. Um this is to me, I think this is like the first or second episode. I don't remember seeing like Buckley at all.
Yeah, Buckley, I don't think he didn't pop up in this episode.
That's crazy. Like it's weird because it seems like he's been a big part of
Hmm.
this season, and like boom, okay, well he's not here for this episode. Like what? What's going
Yeah, it was definitely like giving that storyline a break, and
on?
going with the theme, like you had said, of understanding,
Hmm.
each other in some ways, and like Assam and Father June and Lee and Chow, and even Leary and Strickland to a certain extent. Like it was definitely like understanding people, and to a certain extent, Happy Jack and Abigail, because it's like Abigail knows it was him, and it was like He said it without saying it, kind of thing, about
Mhm.
Lee and him needing to go away, even though he was lying. I think he still like made it very clear what he thought and that he was very much involved with what happened to Lee.
It's
And because he threatens her too. It's like, don't push me anymore. And like
mhm.
it's a definitely understanding. Happy Jack is in fact not that happy.
Never. He's never happy.
Never that happy. No,
Because
no.
if you give him counterfeit money, he will still be pissed at you the next couple days, and send
Never
you
give
on
that man, yeah, never get that man counterfeit money.
and he sent the, and also he will send you on a midnight train to Georgia. You're welcome. That's a song.
I understood that reference.
Good. Gladys Knights and the Pips. But but I'm very excited for the rest of the season. Like it's only episode 6, and I'm like, I can't wait for Thursday. I'm really excited about Thursdays because Wednesdays have been very disappointing. But
Yeah.
if you know what show I'm talking about for Wednesdays, just put it out there. But and Thursdays definitely cannot wait for. And once again, this was the Warrior. This is the Warrior Cast. Did you have anything else from this episode or anything, any future thoughts? Because it seems like you've been hitting on a lot of things.
No, I'm gonna yeah, I got nothing. I got nothing else. I got nothing else. But
All
it's
right,
definitely
guys.
I do want to agree though. Like right now, Thursdays are the day I look forward to the most because the show is just currently the best show that I'm watching. It's going to be up there in my like when we like on Comic Cast we do like our end of the year and things like that. It's
Mhm.
definitely going to be up there for one of my favorite shows of the year.
I think right now, I know it's season 3, but like it's starting to sneak into one of my top 10 favorite shows because it's just like a perfect. I don't mean to say perfect, but it's it's a very well done action slash story sequence between
Mm-hmm.
in this show, and it's just like they know when to take a break on a different storyline and then put one to the front and things like that. It seems like they're doing a really good job of mismatching different storylines and making sure that you stay not you stay interested into that, it's like 5 different storylines going on and you're still interested in all 5 of them in some way. And that's why I really like it. That's why I really love about this show. It's just like it's perfectly done. I'm sorry to say it. The cast is good. The acting is good. The action and story just beautifully done.
It's a show that understands pacing very well and
Mhm.
building tension and building, and character growth, right? Like a Psalm is definitely going to be different by the end of the season. I
Oh
think
yeah.
like in this very episode, like I mentioned, Lee and Chow are different by the end of this like you get character growth in a lot of ways for a lot of characters. And that's what makes it stand out for me more than the Secret Invasion. Like I'm not Secret Invasion is slowly becoming a show that was doing things just for shock value.
Hmm.
I like as get further and further from like episode 1 that ending, it looks more and more like it was just done for shock. And this show, it's like even with the Father June thing, it's going to be a character moment and it's going to change the characters inherently. Like it's always storytelling first and character growth first. And that's what it really nails and it continues to nail. And it even like a plot C or a plot D storyline, I'm invested in. Like I'm invested in all these characters. That's why it's like it's such a strong show. Um, I'm gonna waver probably because I think The Last of Us is right now my favorite show of this year.
Hmm.
But this is again, this one is gonna be up there for me because it's well written, it's well balanced. You get themes, you get story progression, you get amazing action. I mean, I was telling Jong when we recorded yesterday, like you gotta if you haven't watched the show, you gotta watch it. I'm gonna keep beating that drum because it's a such a good show. It's such a good show, and I keep beating the drum because I feel like it's an underrated
Very.
eh, show and in this day and age where, oh, if you don't have 30 million views in the first 10 hours, we're canceling you or we're writing you off. Like, I just don't want that to happen to the show. I want more of Warrior for the next. Like I want to see this story continue. Um, However long they can do it. I don't know if it would be like a 4 season, 5 season long show, but man, keep it going because it's just so good. And I hope folks, if whoever's listening or watching or whatever the case, go watch Warrior. Go watch it because I want more.
On the
It's just a
Max app.
selfish thing. Yeah, exactly. On that Max app, just do it. Just go watch it. I don't mean to be a like I'm not like, hey, studios pay your writers and stuff like that, but also go
Mhm.
watch the show so they don't just like write it off nowadays.
Because it's an amazing it's just an amazing adventure. And I was watching, no, I'm sorry, I was reading someone's story on Instagram, and apparently this is the number one streaming show right now. Like on the streaming
Yes.
apps, this is number one. And HBO, well, HBO slash Cinemax, whatever you, however we want to say it, they know how to put a great show together. Like I don't know,
Hmm.
because like you said, Last of Us, I never played the video games. I never played them, but wow, I want to play them now. I was wanting to play them after watching that show. I just they know how to put a great show together. And yes, I would definitely say probably that was probably one of the better shows. I mean, probably top two best shows of the year, to tell the truth. I definitely agree with that. But this one is definitely in the top five, right?
Yeah,
Even right now.
yeah. I'm not a Succession guy, so I don't know about that show and some of the other shows that have come out. I still need to watch The Bear. Everyone's raving
Oh,
about The Bear. I want to watch that because I know season 2 was great according to everyone, including Jong. Jong watched it and he was saying he loved it. Um, but
it's
yeah,
yeah.
man, it Warriors just it's just hitting, man. It's just hitting on so many levels for me, and I just yeah, it's going to be up there by the end of the year for one of my favorite shows. And then just going briefly, I've played the first Last of Us because I borrowed a friend of mine's PS4 or no, was it PS3? It was PS3. I
Oof.
borrowed his PS3 so I could play it. It's one of the best games I ever played. It's amazing. It's a really really good. I think some people have complaints about the gameplay. Like I didn't. It's really like the gameplay was good. The story mechanics, and then obviously the gameplay mechanics, and then the story was absolutely one of the best stories in gaming. It's really good. I haven't played the second one because nobody's let me borrow their PS4 or PS5, so I haven't played that. But the first one is really good. So definitely, if you get a chance, take a shot at Last of Us. It's good.
That's a Michael Carroll stamp of approval. Just putting it out there, yes.
Stamp,
And
stamp.
you haven't seen Bear? You haven't seen the Bear yet?
I haven't seen The Bear yet. It's definitely
Oh,
on my watch list. I've
yeah.
been catching up on different shows,
Mm.
and it's up there for me. I I watched a not great show in terms of Citadel. Like I've finished that a
Ugh.
little bit ago. Yeah, it's not that good. Don't watch it. I'm definitely but The Bear is up there for me. It's definitely going to be on my watch list for sure,
Like
or I will be watching it soon.
the problem with the Citadel is that like they don't have you have no connection to any of these characters, and you keep doing like try to be shock value stuff with characters that I have no idea who they are. Like they show them at the end of the episode, I'm like, who are you? Okay, cool. I don't
They
have no reference of who you are.
they try and treat plot twists like they pop plot twists like candy. Like they just do. And then this happens, and then this person's actually related to this person. And it was very like what is
Uh,
happening? Like I don't. Is this supposed to mean something to me? Like it's not great.
it was not a great show.
It's
I'm
not a great
sorry.
show.
If there's a bottom five, that might be like the bottom five right now, like
Very
of
well,
action TV shows.
very well. But you know it's not
What's that?
Warrior.
Warrior for sure. For sure. Warrior top three right now, maybe even top two for my own rankings. I might have to do my own rankings also, but definitely this show is just beautifully done. I know I keep saying it, but like I will also scream from the mountaintops if I could. Go watch Warriors all three seasons because
Yes,
you're missing out. Like for sure, you
yes,
are definitely missing out on one of the better TV shows that like in the past couple years. So
100%.
definitely. So with that, that is the show. That was the Warrior Cast. Michael, this was a very long episode.
Yeah, I was like looking like, oh man, we've gone a long time.
So with that, where you can find the Cruising Podcast or slash the Warrior Cast is on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Patreon, YouTube, and anywhere you can find your podcast needs. That's where you can find the Cruising Warrior Podcast. Michael, where can they find you?
They can find me on all your social media platforms at producer Mike 975. And then you can listen to Comic Cast on all your favorite podcast platforms of choice. When you're there, hey, leave us a rating or a review. That would be cool. Really appreciate it. Issue 495 drops on July 24th, Monday, July 24th. So, hey, download it. Check it out. If you're watching Secret Invasion, check it out.
Yeah, if you want some like good breakdown of the episodes, definitely go check out the Comic Cast of Secret Invasions. I think y'all have done, how many episodes is it? 5? It's been 5 episodes right
It's
now.
been
So all
5.
5
Yeah.
episodes. For
Yep.
all 5 episodes will be broken down by him and John, by Michael Carroll and Jung Lee.
Mhm.
And also John's bringing the cake. Hopefully John's listening. John, cake.
Hopefully so.
Michael said he likes ice cream. Maybe selfishly, I might want the ice cream cake, but Michael's asking for ice cream cake.
I do
But
like some ice cream cake. I
oh, there
do
we
like
go.
some ice
Carvel, please. But with that, 495 of Comic Cast will be coming out Monday, July 24th. Go check it out, download it, leave 5-star reviews, no 1 stars. We're not here for the 1 stars, here for the 5 stars. And also leave reviews, helps out with visibility of both podcasts, of all podcasts. So definitely leave reviews and ratings and all the rest of that cool stuff. So with that, I would like to say I love all of you. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. And catch you guys later. Deuces.